In the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. And of course, we start off with the front pages of the papers this morning. And we're looking at Vanguard this morning. Vanguard is leading with subsidy remover, Nigeria on brink of collapse. And that's coming from Catholic bishops. The writer says palliatives never a cure for any economic challenge. Ask federal government to identify those who swindled Nigeria through fuel subsidy, bring them to justice. Notes Nigeria cannot suffer for corruption of a few people, address workers, Nigerians pain, and that's coming from Aneka. And one strike, mass protest may cause a breakdown of law and order, kill businesses. Presidency keeps mum. And we can see a photo story showing ECOWAS meeting on Niger Republic. And of course, on page 8, World Finance Banking Awards, Zenith Bank wins the best commercial bank in Nigeria. ECOWAS gives Niger Republic coup plotters 1 week to restore Bazoum as president. You can see that on page 8. Tinubu appoints special investigators to probe CBN-related entities, and also a hostile business environment. Foreign investment in manufacturing falls of 51% to $978.3 million. Stories above. Tinubu commends Agimokude Foundation's endowment fund for civil service development. On page 13, 5 killed in Adamawa as hoodlums loot government private warehouse for food items. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, we have on page 19, federal government remains major threat to airline survival. That's coming from experts, foster partnership with foreign operators, and that's coming from NCAA. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with a ministerial screening, economy, rule of law, foreign policy, security, top agenda for nominees. We can see an infographic showing the key expectations from Tinubu's government and cabinet. On page 5, unemployment concerns as 7 firms lose 624 billion naira to naira depreciation. NLC mobilizes, meets civil society ahead of Wednesday's action. Anti-corruption, Tinubu appoints a special investigator, probe CBN related entities. Presidential Tribunal, INEC Tinubu Atiku Obi to adopt final addresses tomorrow. On stories above, Niger coup, leaders warn ECOWAS as commission imposes a sanction. Native doctor pays a 350 million naira ransom, recounts kidnappers killing of 20. Let's move away to the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with ECOWAS threatens a military action against Niger junta. Writer says that Tinubu-led sub-regional body gets AU US orders backing. Sanctions slammed on country in coupist. Stories above, we have Tinubu directs a probe of CBN related entities, special investigator to file weekly reports. How ministerial nominees will be screened by Senate. Governor slams a curfew on state after looting of food items. And lastly, on the front page of the Nation, NECA orders to NLC protests will halt a fragile economy. The writer says criminals hijack likely. Falano, it is not illegal. All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with Uncover CBN NNPCL mess. Economists group tells Tinubu special investigators. The writer says Tinubu appoints Obaze's special investigator, EFCC police orders to join probe. Investigators to go after ex-Buhari appointees, private individuals hiding government funds. On page 14, Niger coup plotters dismiss ECOWAS threat, Bazoum statement. On pages 4 and 5, Operation Flush, 88 robbery suspects arrested in Lagos. Clampdown continues. Over 2,000 Nigerian girls stranded in Mali, and that's come from NATIP. NDLEA nabs Lagos nightclub drug suppliers. Government warns operators. Stories above. NLC insists on Wednesday strike mobilizes workers. Kanu returns to DSS custody after checkup by personal doctors. You can see that on page 30. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, 15 ministerial nominees submit credentials ahead of screening. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers this morning. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Just joining. It's still today in the news on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi, and joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the paper is Mr. Jelly Abdul, former FCT chairman of NUJ. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you join me this morning on the show.
Good morning, ma.
All right, sir. Let's delve in. Catholic Bishop Conference of Nigeria, raised the alarm that the removal of fuel subsidy without cushioning the effect has put the country on the brinks of collapse. How do you respond?
They've said the obvious. Everybody knows about this. And it's just a matter of who is speaking it. It's just for the government to wake up. Nobody is praying for the negative. Just like what has happened in Niger, nobody is praying for that. But in order not to have such, then the government should look for all this 8,000 palliative. That thing can never work because it will never get to the people concerned. It's another way of looting the treasury. And I think the Nigerian society, everybody, both the rich and the poor, they are hungry. Everybody is complaining. It's just that the Catholic bishop spoke first. But if you go to the street, everybody is complaining about the economic hardship.
All right. Of course, that one of the things that we were told as regards the removal of fuel subsidy is that there are some persons who were benefiting from the scam, and yet there have been no investigations so far. What do you have to say about that?
It will be difficult for government to investigate them because they are usually the people that sponsored any government in power. These looters of the treasuries are always behind the scene. They always make sure that every government that comes in, they are behind. So it will be difficult for you now to say, somebody that helped you to win an election, can you come and challenge him or take him to court? Except Tinubu will take the bull by the horn. And it may be difficult for him, but I know he can do it if he wants to.
All right, sir. Labor is trending to go on strike by Wednesday. And we know that we know what strike tends to portend for the country, especially at these times. What is your advice to the government to ameliorate the economic trauma faced by the Nigerian people?
The government has a stick, he has a carrot. If labor goes on strike, it will be unfortunate. It may end this government. It's not that one is threatening, but that is the reality because hoodlums will take over. And anytime they take over and there's crisis everywhere, the military will use this as an excuse. And nobody wants a military coup in this country. Just as we are battling with the one in Niger. Nobody wants it. But if they allow the labor, let's just pray that the government, the 7 o'clock nationwide broadcast will touch the hearts of labor and touch the hearts of Nigeria and look for a way out. But government has to sit up. They need to act fast.
All right, so let's move ahead and talk about Niger. I mean, with ECOWAS has actually, issued a 7 days, ultimatum to the military in the Niger Republic to restore the ousted President Bazoum to office. What are your thoughts on what is happening in Niger?
ECOWAS, what they are doing is expected. Many of them, they are elected. These are people that, there is just like what somebody was saying. It's an internal issue that all these leaders should sit down and reflect. You've been elected for 2 terms, maybe 3 or 4 years per term. You stay there for 2 terms and you still want to extend your tenure. You are not the only one. If somebody did not leave, will you be there? And the current situation, every part of the region, everyone is suffering. And they are telling you, do something new. But most of them, they think when they are in the palace, they are covered, that nothing can happen. ECOWAS, yes, it's right for them to say what they are saying. But if they don't handle it diplomatically, it will boomerang. Because already the military juntas there, they've approached Russia. And the Russia will come in. And Nigeria cannot face them. No matter how small. Everybody is looking at the uranium. Not even Nigeria is looking at its own safety. The Russia wants to penetrate Africa. And they had the uranium. I think they're the 4th largest in the world. So every attention is on what they will get out of it. America is there. Nigeria should wake up and do something tangible. It's not by force. Because the people that came there, they are ready to die. If they had failed, they would have killed them. Now they succeeded, you are telling them to hand over. Nobody will do that. Use diplomacy and plead with them for democracy to thrive.
Of course, you know that there are some sanctions that were put in place to frustrate the juntas into ceding power and paving way for democracy to reign. And even the ECOWAS has said they don't mind even the use of force. What are your take on this, especially coming from what ECOWAS has said?
You see, the problem is that he who goes to equity will go with clean hands. Most of the ECOWAS leaders, with due apologies, they are not even supposed to be there. Your tenure has gone. Most of them are either, look, is it Guinea? Is it Mali that will come and then say we are coming to use force when they knew that they used the same method in coming in? So the thing is that maybe if it is African Union, it may be better. But when you are talking of ECOWAS, their hands are stained. So you can't go and tell somebody that he has leprosy. You have leprosy. You are telling the man with leprosy and you get out or I kick you out. He will tell you, check inside. You that you are coming to tell me to do this, what are you? Are you on a clean slate? But it will be a burden actually on Nigeria, because Nigeria, the safety or the stability of Nigeria depends on how it is being resolved in Niger. Because whatever it is, we have a porous border. I have a neighbor here, he's from Niger, he has no passport. The other time I saw many of them, they are in the society with even, unfortunately, with even our, what do they call it, voters card. They have voters card before they real Nigerians, because they knew that whatever happens, they can claim. They bear the Hausa and they speak Hausa. You cannot even differentiate them if you see them. So Nigeria should sit up. Don't threat. It's not threat. Don't threaten them. It's not threat. Somebody that's put his life on the line to take over a government is ready to do anything. He can look for assistance from the devil. Already they have approached Russia. So this diplomacy, you use diplomacy to plead with them that let them restore democracy back, and let the government that was ousted sit down and see how they can change the economic situation in that country.
All right, you just spoke about some. What more are the implications for Nigeria, seeing that we were sharing a border with the Niger Republic?
Already, Niger, Chad, Cameroon, these are our problems where the enemies, the Boko Haram, the IS, ISWAP, that normally come through. And we have a large borderline with them that even for now, you cannot even differentiate. I have a colleague, a journalist like me, when he was in Katsina, he goes to Niger to trade, buy bread from Nigeria, go and sell it there. In the evening, they come back. So the border is so porous. It's just like, if you know Abuja very well, it's like somebody moving from Abuja to Nasarawa State. Yanya to Maraba, there's nothing that is differentiating the two, except a pole that tells you that this is a boundary. That is something. So the danger is that Nigeria should look at it and don't use might. You want to, might will never work in this issue. Diplomacy is the best way out.
All right. Before we go, let's take a look at our next story. And now, the president has actually appointed a special investigator to probe CBA and all the related entities. And this is, against his fight against corruption. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a good development. I support him for that. And I hope, my prayer, though the underlying tone there is that the man should report directly to him. I hope after the report, he will act on it.
All right.
Because we've had so many of such that when they bring the report, they say they are setting up another committee to look at the report, another committee to review the report, and that is at the end of the day, they put it under the cabinet.
Okay, so let's just take Mr. and Mrs. before we go. Mr. is saying that men with mistresses do so because they want to preserve their wives. If you wear your favorite dress, always the colors will fade. And Mrs. is responding to Mr. says, your favorite dress is not complaining. Use it as you like and stop the stupid excuses.
Men, we are promiscuous. Men, they must have reasons to give for looking at the other woman out there. God will just help us, but we should have the fear of God in us.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jalil Abdul, former FCC chairman of NUJ. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. To find out today's stories, you can go to our website, www.vanguardindia.com, to find out more. I am